After the Sabbath, at dawn on the first day of the week, Mary Magdalene and the other Mary came to look at the tomb. Look, there was a great earthquake, for an angel from the Lord came down from heaven. Coming to the stone, he rolled it away and sat on it. Now his face was like lightning, and his clothes as white as snow. The guards were so terrified of him that they shook with fear and became like dead men. But the angel said to the women, "Don't be afraid. I know that you are looking for Jesus, who was crucified. He isn't here, because he's been raised from the dead, just as he said. Come, see the place where they laid him. Now hurry, go tell his disciples, he's been raised from the dead. He's going on ahead of you to Galilee. You will see him there. I've given the message to you." With great fear and excitement, they hurried away from the tomb and ran to tell the disciples. But Jesus met them and greeted them. They came and grabbed his feet and worshipped him. Then Jesus said to them, "Don't be afraid. Go and tell my brothers that I am going to Galilee. They will see me there."
On this Easter of 2020, when we are isolated and alone, we offer to you an adaptation of A Mass on the World. It was written by the priest and paleontologist Pierre Teilhard de Chardin. Both priest and scientist, his research led him to remote and starkly beautiful places. He spent his time both in research and reflection, and he saw in his scientific study and his personal encounters with the variety of creation that the Spirit of God suffused the whole of creation, drawing every created thing into communion with one another and with the source of all being. This was more than a pretty picture. This oneness demanded response from us, and we in turn would be transformed by it past the possibilities of human expectation and even endurance. He found in the liturgy of the Mass a template for his expression of all of that. He found himself alone in a deserted place in northern China on the Feast of Transformation, with neither bread nor wine for communion, for his daily Mass. And in that isolation that was nevertheless suffused with communion, he wrote what he called A Mass on the World, that celebrated the presence of the risen Christ. These are his words adapted and shortened for this day. Let the words and ideas wash over you in their beauty and their wonder. Since once again, Lord, I have neither bread nor wine nor altar, I will raise myself beyond these symbols, up to the pure majesty of the real itself. I, your priest, will make the whole earth my altar, and on it will offer you all the labors and sufferings of the world. Over there, on the horizon, the sun has just touched with light the outermost fringe of the eastern sky. Once again, beneath this moving sheet of fire, the living surface of the earth quakes and trembles, and once again begins its fearful travail. I will place on my paten, O God, the harvest to be won by this renewal of labor, and into my chalice I shall pour all the sap which is to be pressed out this day from the earth's fruits. My paten and my chalice are the depths of a soul laid widely open to all the forces which in a moment will rise up from every corner of the earth and converge upon my spirit. Grant me the remembrance and mystic presence of all those whom the light is now awakening to the new day. One by one, Lord, I see and love all those whom you have given me to sustain and charm my life. One by one also, I number all those who make up that other beloved family which has gradually surrounded me, its unity fashioned out of the most disparate elements with affinities of the heart. And again, one by one, I call before me the whole vast anonymous army of living humanity, who surround me and support me, though I do not know them, those who come and those who go. Above all, those who in office, laboratory, or factory, through their vision of truth or despite their error, truly believe in the progress of earthly reality, and who today will take up their impassioned pursuit of the light.
This restless multitude, the immensity of which terrifies us, this ocean of humanity whose slow, monotonous wave flows trouble the hearts of even those whose faith is most firm. It is to this deep that I thus desire for all the fibers of my being should respond. All things in the world to which this day will bring increase, all those that will diminish, all those too that will die, all of them, Lord, I will try to gather in my arms so as to hold them out to you in offering. This is the material of my sacrifice, the only material you desire. Once upon a time, people took into your temple the first fruits of their harvests, the flowers of their flocks. But the offering you really want, the offering you mysteriously need everyone to appease your hunger, to slake your thirst, is nothing less than the growth of the world born ever onwards in the stream of universal becoming. Receive, O Lord, this all-embracing host which your whole creation, moved by your magnetism, offers you at this dawn of a new day. This bread, our toil, is but an immense fragmentation. This wine, our pain, is no more than a draught that dissolves. Yet, in the very depths of this formless mass, you have implanted a desire, irresistible, hallowing, which makes us cry out, believer and unbeliever alike, Lord, make us one.
In the beginning was power, intelligent, loving, energizing. In the beginning was the Word, supremely capable of molding whatever might come into being in the world of matter. In the beginning, there was not coldness and darkness. There was the fire. This is the truth.
So far from light emerging gradually out of the womb of our darkness, it is the light, existing before all else was made, which patiently, surely eliminates our darkness. But you, my God, are the inmost depths, stability of that eternal milieu, without duration or space, in which our cosmos emerges into being and grows gradually to its final completeness as it loses those boundaries which to our eyes seem so immense. Everything is being. Everywhere there is being, and nothing but being, save in the fragmentation of creatures and clash of their atoms. Blazing spirit, fire of union, be pleased yet once again to come down and breathe a soul into the newly formed, fragile film of matter with which this day the world is to be freshly clothed. Radiant word, blazing power, you who mold all that is so as to breathe your life into it, I pray you, lay on us those your hands, powerful, considerate, omnipresent, those hands which do not, like our human hands, touch now here, now there, but which plunge into the depths and the totality, present and past, of things so as to reach us simultaneously through all that is most immense and most inward within us and around us.
May the might of those invincible hands direct and transfigure for the world you have in mind, that earthly troubles which I have gathered into my heart and now offer you in its entirety. Remold it, rectify it, recast it down to the depths from whence it springs. Do you now, therefore, speaking through my lips, pronounce over this earthly travail the word, without which all that our wisdom and our experience have built up must totter and crumble, the word, through which all our most far-reaching speculations and our encounter with the universe are come together into a unity. Over every living thing which is to spring up, to grow, to flower, to ripen during this day, say again the words, "This is my body." And over every death force which waits in readiness to corrode, to wither, to cut down, speak again your commanding words, which express the supreme mystery of faith. This is my blood.
She wrapped her sky. was forged from the hillside long before a voice uttered freedom's cry. Long before she wrapped her bleeding arms around a child, there was a love, this ancient love was born. Long before the name of God was spoken, long before a cross was nailed from a tree, long before she laid her arm of God across the sky, there was a love, this ancient love was born. Wakeful are our nights, and slumbers our morning. Stubborn is the grass, sowing green wounded hills. As we wrap our healing arms to hold what her arms held, this ancient love, this aching love rolls on.
Say it with me. It is done. It is done. Once again, the fire has penetrated the earth. Not with sudden crash of thunderbolt, riving the mountaintops, does the master break down doors to enter his own home. Without earthquake or thunderclap, the flame has lit up the whole world from within. All things individually and collectively are penetrated and flooded by it, from the inmost core of the tiniest atom to the mighty sweep of the most universal laws of being. So naturally has it flooded every element, every energy, every connecting link in the unity of our cosmos, that one might suppose the cosmos to have burst spontaneously into flame. Through your own incarnation, my God, all matter is henceforth incarnate.
All of us, Lord, from the moment we are born, feel within us this disturbing mix of remoteness and nearness. And in our heritage of sorrow and hope passed down to us through the ages, there is no yearning more desolate than that which makes us weep with vexation and desire as we stand in the midst of the presence, which hovers about us, nameless and impalpable, and is dwelling in all things. Shatter, my God, through the daring of your revelation, the childishly timid outlook that can conceive of nothing greater or more vital in the world than the pitiable perfection of our human organism. Lord Jesus, in whom all things subsist, show yourself to those who love you as the higher soul and the physical center of your creation. You are well aware that for us, this is a question of life or death. For if I could not believe that your real presence animates and makes tractable and enkindles even the very least of the energies which invade me or brush past me, would I not die of cold? Thank you, my God, for having, in 1,000 different ways, led my eyes to discover the immense simplicity of things.
At this moment, when your life has just poured with superabundant vigor into the sacrament of the world, I shall savor with heightened consciousness the intense yet tranquil rapture of a vision whose coherence and harmonies I can never exhaust. I worship a God who can be touched, and I do indeed touch him. This God over the whole surface and the depths of that world of matter which confines me, but to take hold of him as I would wish, simply in order not to stop touching him. I must go always on, through and beyond each undertaking, unable to rest in anything, borne onwards at each moment by creatures, and at each moment going beyond them, in a continuing welcoming of them and a continuing detachment from them. Rich with the sap of the world, I rise up toward the Spirit whose clothing is the magnificence of the material universe, but who smiles at me from far beyond all victories. And, lost in the mystery of the flesh of God, I cannot tell which is the more radiant bliss, to have found the Word and so be able to achieve the mastery of matter, or to have mastered matter and so to be able to attain and submit to the light of God. Say with me, I beg you, give me faith. I beg you, give me faith.
If the fire has come down into the heart of the world, lay hold on me and to absorb me. I cannot be content simply to contemplate it, or rather I must. Consent to the communion which will enable it to find in me the food it has come in the last resort to seek. So, my God, I prostrate myself before your presence, in the universe which has now become living flame, beneath all that I shall encounter this day, all that happens to me, all that I achieve. It is you I desire, you I await. It is a terrifying thing to have been born. I mean, to find oneself, without having willed it, swept irrevocably along a torrent of fearful energy, which seems as though it wished to destroy everything it carries with it. What I want, my God, is that by a reversal of forces which you alone can bring about, my terror in face of the nameless changes destined to renew my being may be turned into an overflowing joy at being transformed into you. First of all, I shall stretch out my hand unhesitatingly towards the fiery bread which you set before me. This bread in which you have planted the seed of all that is to develop in the future, I recognize as containing the source and the secret of that destiny you have chosen for me. To take it is, I know, to surrender myself to forces which will tear me away painfully from myself in order to drive me into danger, into laborious undertakings, into a constant renewal of ideas.
Lord Jesus, I am willing to be possessed by you, to be bound to your body and led by its inexpressible power towards those solitary heights which by myself I should never dare to climb. Instinctively, like all mankind, I would rather set up my tent here below on some hilltop of my own choosing. I am afraid, too, like all my fellow men, of the future too heavy with mystery and too wholly new, towards which time is driving me. Then, like these men, I wonder anxiously where life is leading me. That is why, pouring into my chalice the bitterness of all separations, of all limitations, and of all sterile fallings away, you then hold it out to me. Drink ye all of this. Say with me, I beg you, give me faith. I beg you, give me faith.
Jesus, now that beneath those world forces you have become truly and physically everything for me, everything about me, everything within me, I shall gather into a single prayer both my delight in what I have and my thirst for what I lack. And following the lead of your great servant, I shall repeat those enflamed words in which I believe the Christianity of tomorrow will find its increasingly clear portrayal. Lord, lock me up in the deepest depths of your heart, and then holding me there, burn me, purify me, set me on fire, sublimate me, till I become utterly what you would have me be.
Master, today, when through the manifestation of those superhuman powers which your resurrection endowed you, you shine forth from within all forces of the earth, and so become visible to me. Now I recognize you as my sovereign, and with delight, I surrender myself to you. As long as I could see, or dared see, in you, Lord Jesus, only the man who lived 2,000 years ago, the sublime moral teacher, the friend, the brother, my love remained timid and constrained.
Friends, brothers, sisters, siblings, women of science and men of faith, wise elders and wise children, have we not many of these around us, great souls, chosen souls, and much closer to us? And then, can a person ever give themselves utterly to a nature which is purely human? Always from the very first was the world, greater than all the elements which make up the world, that I was in love with. And never before was there anyone before whom I could honestly bow down. And so for a long time, even though I believed, I strayed, not knowing what it was I loved. But now,
How strange, my God, are the processes your Spirit initiates, when it appears that science and faith must divide us, when it might have seemed that what was captivating men's souls was the fact of their finding in you an element even more determinate, more circumscribed than your humanity as a whole. But now, on the contrary, I see that your main purpose in this revealing to us of your heart was to enable our love to escape from the constrictions of the too narrow, too precise, too limited image of you, which we had fashioned for ourselves.
what I discern in your breast is simply a furnace of fire, and the more I fix my gaze on its ardency, the more it seems to me that all around it the contours of your body melt away and become enlarged beyond all measure, till the only features I can distinguish in you are those of the face of a world which has burst into flame.
Glorious Lord Christ, the divine influence secretly diffused and active in the depths of matter and the dazzling center where all the innumerable fibers of the manifold meet, power as implacable as the world and as warm as life. You whose forehead is of the whiteness of snow, whose eyes are of fire, and whose feet are brighter than molten gold. You whose hands imprison the stars, you who are the first and the last, the living and the dead, and the risen again. You who gather into your exuberant unity every beauty, every affinity, every energy, every mode of existence. It is you to whom my being cried out with a desire as vast as the universe. In truth, you are my Lord and my God. Lord, lock me up within you. Lord Jesus, it is in this dedication I desire to live. In this, I desire to die.
O God, beyond all praising, we worship you send, and blessings without number, and mercies without end. We lift our hearts before you and wait upon your word. We honor and adore you, our great and mighty Lord. The flower of earthly splendor in time must surely die. Its fragile bloom surrender to you, our God most high. But hidden from all nature, the eternal seed is sown.